In many ways, when I got the brief, very inspired from what I've just heard. I feel very much, in many ways, a little bit new in class, and I think Ikea feels a little bit new in class. And I'm sure when most of you saw Ikea, you connected, I would assume, with furniture as the first thing, and then perhaps meatballs as well as the second thing. And the fact of the matter is, I think I better set the stage a little bit before I go in to explain what we've done, and then I'll share the challenges that we are facing as, I would say, a new player. And I really would like also just to say very quickly, I really appreciate this sort of format where you just can talk and share as opposed to sharing PowerPoints. Ikea is, of course, first and foremost founded as a furniture company back in the 40s, and we've developed throughout the world to a rather sizable business. But we've heard a lot during the morning here about processed foods and how food has developed, and it's a little bit the same history in the food part of Ikea. It's been part of the range and the way we meet our customers since we opened the first store. But it was meant to keep the customers in the store, and it was supposed to be low price. Low price to keep them in the store and then make them happy, because you can't shop with a customer on an empty stomach, was the thinking. And for us, it took a scandal in 2013, the horse meat scandal, that I think shook the whole industry, to kind of wake up and say, wait, we need to look at this business. And what we found was that we had a quite sizable business suddenly. We're selling at the tune of 2 billion euro in food alone throughout the world. We have 400 restaurants with a minimum of 400 seats. When we open in Asia, it's already with 1,000 seats. So it's always the biggest restaurant in any town we open up. We have what we call Swedish food markets. So in the course of this, we've become the biggest exporter of Swedish food in the world, which I don't know if that's an achievement, but that's a fact. And we also have what we call bistros. We have cafes throughout the world. And, you know, as I said, it kind of took this pause, and it sounds maybe odd, but it shook us a little bit that, wow, it's that big. And it left us with two ways to go in 2014. Either we go world class, because you cannot do things like this with left hand, or we should close down the food business. Now, we decided, I think, true to our culture and our values, because it is a value-based company, that it fits very well. And you know, all of you, how important food is. We've heard about it. The vision that founded Ikea is to create a better everyday life for the many people through furniture. But it fits very well to both the theme of these days, but also very well to food. But it meant that we need to change very radically and very differently. So in 2014, we did something similar to this. We brought a lot of people from the outside into a room, people from within the food industry. And I would actually credit the fact that I sit here to Tristram Stewart, because he was one of the people in that room, sitting with the top management of Ikea, myself included, and a lot of other people. And at that time, 2014, I had no clue about food waste being such a huge issue. We didn't know that. We knew that it's smart in your restaurants to control waste because it makes good business sense, but that's about it. But just through that session, we have developed now our strategies when it comes to sustainability, which Ikea has had on the furniture side for quite some time. But we're now taking steps on the food side. We are very clear on one thing, that sustainability is not a singular thing. Health has to come into it. It means that we, as a retailer, have to make choices. We need to challenge ourselves. Is it really right to look at meatballs, which is a good example? When we started it in the 60s, when it really started taking up, it was 8-piece meatballs. Now the average portion sizes in the US is 15. In Europe, it's 12. Denmark, one of the big ones as well. Is that right? Or can we, or must we, as a retailer, take steps to actually go the way back? And we are, and have decided we will. We've developed, for instance, a veggie ball to compete with our own meatball, because it's just sustainably correct to do. And we're pricing it lower. We're taking lesser margin on that dish than we are on the meatball, because we know that it's the right thing to do in the long term. But I would also say it's very early days. When it comes to food waste, we have now initiated weighing food waste, particularly in our own production in the restaurants. We have rolled it out at this point in 100 stores. I would say the learning has been that it's relatively simple. I mean, the technology is there. The people that have the knowledge, among them you, are available. It's not a great investment to do, and it makes business sense. I think the problem lies internally with us to get the awareness of. And the next step and the big challenge that I face, apart from the internal side, is how do we bring this topic to the masses? I forgot to say the most important number. It's not that we have 2 billion in sales and X amount of restaurants. The most important number to me is that IKEA has such a reach that we have 680 million guests in the food part alone every year. That is a huge opportunity, but also a huge responsibility that we need to take. And I would say we've tried the last couple of years in different markets on how to communicate, for instance, portion sizes. I shared with one gentleman earlier how we fared in Germany, not very well. To find the balance between being informative and not judgmental. It's been quite easy for us on the furniture side. People can relate to sustainability decisions we take when it comes to windmill power or whatever it might be. But when it comes to food, it's very personal. And I would also add to the whole thing, being a global company, it adds another dimension to the whole thing. There's a very, very different perception around what health is and what sustainability is in the different markets that we're in. So for me, the major challenge apart from that would be how do we bring this topic outside of, I would say, we're faring fairly well in the Western world, where we're have been for many, many years. But in the new markets we're stepping into, we're going to go into Africa as one of the next continents. We're going to go to South America, where we're not even yet. All of those markets are in different stages of their economic development. And there we face a massive challenge, because we have also decided, as a global brand, you cannot have different standards. We will have the same standard and the same ambition throughout. And then, as part of our journey, we had to completely redo our supply chain. That's not done overnight. We are basically at a white piece of paper. I subscribe completely to the fact that we have ambitions, but we cannot do this alone. And that's one of the great benefits by being with you today, because I'm sure that there are many in this audience that we need the help of to really speed up and get to where we would like to be. But somehow, I believe we are, on the other hand, in a unique situation. We have, on the furniture side, a supply chain that's established for 30 years. That's hard to change. But we are basically with a white piece of paper. How do we create a global supply chain that considers these things now? And how do you shorten, you said nose to tail, but how do we shorten the distance to the customers that we meet and where we produce? How much can be global? How much needs to be local? And that, then we come into all the KPIs that you can set throughout the organization. But I firmly believe it has to be driven very much by tech. We need to make friends in tech. We need to get the awareness up throughout the supply chain. So that's really the story, the journey that very, very early journey that I can share. And as I said, it is early days for us. We are not going to do it by ourselves. We're going to have a lot of help in this journey. And it is, I think, a journey that has excited. The result with our co-workers has been enormously positive. More than 80% have responded that they feel a lot of pride when we talk about food waste, but we've not managed it really to get it past to the customers. So I think, again, the challenge lies in that, in the back end, to shorten the supply chain, find the right partners that actually, to a certain extent, I believe, are value-based, because you have to believe in this being right. And then how do you communicate this in the correct way, the positive, the inspiring way to the masses throughout a globe that is on very different levels. So, early journey, and I hope to have a lot with you, with us on this journey going forward. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Michael.